Our skin is gorgeous, no matter what they say. So block out the noise, hear the voice of God who made us well as he whispers to you. Let it break through and know your black is beautiful. It's beautiful. This world holds so much danger for people with this skin, 'cause people stay trying to put out the light we have within, but we can't let them. No, we can't let them. See, Rosa, Martin, Malcolm all did what they could. We gotta rise up, fight back, stand where they stood, 'cause it's our duty.
Something happened to the sound. Hey, Marcel. Hey, Justin.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
I'm doing well today. I'm glad to be here. How are you?
Good. Great to see you.
Marcel. Hey, Justin. Good afternoon.
Marcel, I can't hear you. No. Justin, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Yeah, Marcel, I'm not able to hear you either.
We've got 26, 27 people here today, but I don't see everybody. I'm wondering why. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's great to see everybody. We're just going to start with asking people to put in the chat or to say out loud what brought you here today. And if you were in on Wednesday's teach-in or yesterday's podcast you listened in, you can say something about that. So the question is, what brought you here today? We're really happy everybody's here. We want to hear why you were here today, what you were inspired by from Wednesday or Thursday, or if this is your first day. If anybody wants to speak up, you can do that too, or put something in the chat. We see somebody's here all the way from St. Louis. How about that?
Did you say something, Paul?
I didn't. Did you hear me?
Oh, no.
No.
So there was one, as people keep adding to the chat for today. My name is Abby. If I know you, hi, I'm so glad you're here. If I don't, I'm super glad to meet you. One thing that was suggested is that we have a lot of Zoom fatigue. And as we're trying to build in solidarity and coalition in this week of action with Black Lives Matter at school and with racial justice in Minnesota, we also need to play. And so the suggestion is for a few minutes, we want you to think about some game, some activity, something that you did during recess. And you can turn your camera off, but we want you to literally go and do that activity for like 2 minutes and then come right back. And when we come right back, we'll open our cameras, we'll say hi, and we'll get started.
So you're saying recess when we were kids,
Mhm.
what we did in recess when we were kids, and go do it now.
Yep, right now. Okay, so we're gonna turn off our cameras. You gotta think about one thing in your body to let yourself be free. 2 minutes.
All right, hello. Abby, are you here? Hi, everyone.
Hey, Marcel, we're just doing your activity, your recess activity now.
Okay, cool. It's not my activity, but
Okay.
it sounds fun.
All right, as people start coming back, Paul, do you mind making Jose and me and Marcel co-hosts, please?
Yep, I'm gonna do that. Not finding Marcel's name.
It's under Abigail Rumbalski right now. He can change it after you.
Done?
I think my computer's dying out on me. I'm so sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. Frozen again.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. So welcome back, everybody. We'll have with Marcel, if we can hear you, that would be great. I think we can hear you pretty well. So if you get a chance for your face, that's fine. But you are gonna just give us a little bit of what the past 2 days has meant to you, to recap some of either from Wednesday, from the teach-in, from Thursday, from the podcast, so that we can kick off into this day of action, this hour of action that we have together.
Yeah, definitely. So hi everyone, how you doing? My name is Marcel Thompson. Oh, I got my mouse back now. Sorry, this computer is like 20 years old. Got me through a lot. Anyway, so hello again, welcome everyone. So I'm a past student from St. Paul Public Schools. I think in particular this week has meant a lot for me. I wasn't the best student in school, but I love to learn. I think I'm going to be a lifelong learner, and I really appreciate some of the educators that I met at Central, and a lot of the other staff. I think gave me some traumas, and I think that in part has led to this week of organizing and this week of action that a lot of our young people have put together. It's invigorating. I know I'm angry. I know I'm very frustrated about what's going on in a lot of schools across the Twin Cities. I know a lot of these young people are too, and I know specifically the educators have shared a lot of knowledge that led to this actual call to action. So for me, it has meant a lot of ancestral curse breaking. This kind of organizing has brought me new ideas, and I hope it brings new ideas to all of you. On Wednesday, we went over sort of like a workshop to let everyone know about the 3 bills that they were working on, and a lot of them were testifying. Thank you. A lot of them were testifying also that same day for that legislation. It went great. I thought it was amazing. We had a period at the end where a lot of people spoke. Some people shared some of their traumas through school. And on Thursday, they did the podcast. I don't know if anyone heard it, but it was amazing. They did really well. And then we come to today. This is kind of the culmination of the 3 days and a lot of their planning and our planning. And today, specifically, we want a lot of people to either make a lot of calls, tell a lot of stories, just in general to get involved behind trying to rally these 3 bills. And yeah, action. Woo.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Marcel. We appreciate you. As we continue to build both with young people and across race and ethnicity in the state of Minnesota, where we know we continue to do racial violence in our schools, and we have to reckon with that. And so as part of that, this legislative week of action, we're going to hear right now from Jose and Paul real briefly about what the move is before we have everybody collectively be moving together.
Do you want to go first, Paul?
No, go ahead, Jose.
Okay. Hey, folks. My name is Jose Villar. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I'm an organizer with Unidos Minnesota, and I'm also a part of the Ethnic Studies Coalition, or also known as the Our History, Our School campaign. And essentially, we are in a very, I guess, important moment. Recently, as recent as just yesterday, our Ethnic Studies bill was introduced in the House as House File 704. But before I go into explaining a little bit of like what this moment means, I also want to quickly honor that this work would not be happening had it not been for youth stepping up and being bold about what they wanted to see in our schools. Um, I want to say that roughly 3 years ago, there was a lot of youth doing a lot of amazing work, from students from Youth Rock, from SEEB, students from Unidos, students from AOP. And, essentially there was this moment of like everyone just envisioning like, okay, what can we do together? Uh, and I just want to honor that, again, this work would not be happening had it not been for them, had it not been for them telling us, hey, we need your support, but we want to do this. And if anything, they were really the ones that told us that they wanted to have an ethnic studies bill, that they also wanted to work on the social studies state standards, which is another part of our work that we've been doing that has had its ups and downs. But I think being clear in what is the end goal has helped us in that vision. So yeah, but again, the bill was introduced yesterday, which is great. But what happens next is essentially we need our people. We need stories. We need to uplift and continue to advocate for ethnic studies. Otherwise, and unfortunately being in the situation that we are with the split House and Senate, it's going to be hard if we don't get those stories, if we don't get those people to share why it is important to you all as students, as educators, as community members, as parents. Because at the end of the day, the people on the, I guess on the right will play cultural politics, saying that it's divisive and things like that, things that we've seen and heard all across the entire, I guess, the entire US, things that we've seen in California, in Washington, in Vermont, in Portland. And so we want to be clear that it is not, if anything, we need ethnic studies now more than ever. And I guess that ask is that we get and share some of those stories, but you also communicate with people that you might know that might not know about what's happening right now. There's probably people that we haven't been able to have be able to reach, whether it's because of access, whether it's because we're not in the same community, whether it's because they're farther away, like in greater Minnesota, things like that you might have a chance to. So definitely video testimonies, and we'll share a bit more about that, but I'll pass it to Paul.
Hey, thanks, Jose. So on the screen right now, we've got a Jamboard. And for the Increased Teachers of Color Act, you can just start your ideas by putting in this Jamboard your ideas. You can see on the left, we have little sticky notes that you can click on and then enter a message and just put it in there. It's one way to add your ideas. In the chat, we've also put a document for taking action, and we're going to talk about some of those things if you want to actually get beyond the Jamboard, but we've got that. So when we do the Jamboard a little bit, we will switch to another screen later to show this one pager that we put in the chat, and we can guide you on some action. But this is really meant to be a time for you to take action, for us to take collective action, kind of at the same time. And we'll talk about how to do that. And you'll do it. And we'll make change together.
Thanks, Paul. So we have basically the next 20 minutes for people to do what could be kind of individual work, but it can be collective work. You could be like, hey, we just want some breakout groups to talk. People could stay here and talk. But how we have it set up is that we have about 20 minutes where people could work out of the PowerPoint or out of the Jamboard. You can go to the Jamboard right now and add things to the Teachers of Color and American Indian Teachers
Abby, can
Act.
you put the Jamboard link back in there?
I sure can.
I guess it goes to what before it went to the.
There's the Jamboard link. So there's space for any of these. There's space for the why is passing the Student Inclusion and Engagement Act important? To keep students in and not pushed out of Minnesota schools. That's related to things like suspending, like we've talked about the past couple of days, of babies, of preschoolers, kindergartners, first graders, second graders. And then this one, just recognizing all of the deep work that young people have done in Minnesota in the past 6-9 months, and then years before that, about getting funding counselors, not cops. And then a final page that just says, what else? What are other local ideas to meet the demands of Black Lives Matter at school? So let's just take like one song worth to fill some pages, and then we'll come back and introduce you to the PowerPoint. How does that sound?
Great.
Okay.
I can't hear any music yet. Can you? We're working on the sound issues, everybody.
Sugar, the people, faster than the bullet. Harvest the mountainside, protect the crops, herd the cattle. The people, the women and children are separated from the men. Violence according to the regional filters of their minds. The violence of arrogance falls into the air, nestles into the geospatial cortex. We are not a conquered people. Beats by region. I was waiting for my older brother. The compound was on fire. Awakened by my elder brother. The compound was on fire. The missionaries never hid their perspectives of land, but rather see us disappear. Recyclable prayers. The people. This is my body which is given for you. The people. This is my blood. The people. We are not a conquered people. I
I'm gonna. So Jose, could you please talk about what action you want people to take on the ethnic studies bill right now at this time?
Yes. Yeah. So essentially, one of the biggest actions that we think would be helpful is to start working on some written or video testimonies. As you can see in the, I'll post it in the chat as well, but we have a website. We try to figure out a way to kind of like simplify a way for people to send in a written or video testimony. Folks can either do it through, give me a second. Okay. I'm copying it right now. But folks can either do it through like submitting a written testimony on a Google form that we have put together, or a video form as well. There's the link to our website. Really, we're just asking for something as simple as like 2 minutes, or as simple as 1 paragraph, whichever way you feel more comfortable. There's also kind of a little bit of like guidelines to kind of like how to write a testimony. And it could be either just sharing your story or being specific to like addressing the legislature. So yeah. I'm also here to support if folks need any support.
Great. Thanks. Is anybody here from the Solutions Not Suspensions Coalition that can speak about what actions you'd like people to take for the Student Inclusion and Engagement Act?
I don't think there is for today, but the website's there so people can access that. And what we have for you in the PowerPoints is a way for people to just see so many different ways to engage. So we wanted to take 10 minutes to engage with, have you engage with the PowerPoints, but have us engage with each other on the screen if that's what you'd prefer. So you can see how we have this set up is that the slides that are dark gray in the background are kind of just the overview. And then it has all of the links so that you can find it and access it and interact with it. You can save it if you're a teacher and you want to share it with your students. And then the green backgrounds have what we're supporting today, which includes the ITCA, Increased Teachers of Color Act, the Ethnic Studies Bill, revision of the state standards, and the proposed Student Inclusion and Engagement Act. So you can talk, you can prepare a testimony to video share with us at 1240. You can write, you can share, you can post. So there's lots of actions that are possible. Video or photo testimony, like Jose talked about. We have Flipgrids available for that you can access now in the next 10 minutes, both for Why Funding Counselors Not Cops and in support of the ITCA. Testimony, you can go to your legislator for who represents me. You can add more to the Jamboard. We have a script for a phone call and direct communication. Social media campaign, some ats and some tags. A contest for youth and parents for social media also. And then ways that you can connect to keep connecting. We have specific actions for Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action, asking your school district union to sign a resolution, resource links, pledges, websites, resources, tons of resources, as well as the creative challenge, what makes you feel free to dream, safe to thrive in schools and communities. So individual and collective self-care, which we talked about starting with Elsie on Wednesday. Please feel free to use this PowerPoint to add resources, and then everything that is the white background is for you to write so that we can collect this and we can pass it on to legislators for you if you don't want to directly. And there are 2 sample posts at the end, including testimony from this week that we were able to see about students and teachers of color.
So we can't hear that, Abby, or
Oh.
I can't, but.
Education system. I understand the language barriers, the cultural differences, and the limited navigational skills that prevent many of our students and families from fully participating in classes, conferences, and school events.
We need teachers who understand firsthand different cultures and who see our potential for all we youths have to offer the world. We need more role models in our school who look like us and speak our home languages.
How could I belong when my ancestors' existence in history books is short and brief? When my peers are surprised at how eloquently I speak? For when a teacher who looks like me teaching AP is rare? When a student looks like me taking IB is rare? When having darker skin makes you both invisible and a target at the same time in a space full of white students?
We need more ESL teachers who come from immigrant backgrounds. We need more teachers of color who can teach content and also be that cultural bridge for our students.
Okay. All right, so are we ready? We're gonna try to do as much as we can in the next 10, 15 minutes, and then come together for anybody who's willing to make a video today just to speak into the camera so we can record at the end with why these are important to you.
Can I, Abby, I'd like to just make one request. If somebody wants to act on the Teacher of Color Act and send one email, I want to direct people what that would be. Can I do that? Okay, I'm going to share my screen at one more real quick. So on this document, there are links that in our chat, this PDF. If you did one thing today, and we all did one thing for the Increased Teacher of Color Act, it'd be this priority number one. Everybody contacting Senator Chamberlain, the chair of the Education Committee, urging him to give a hearing to Senate File 446. If you had time to do a second email, it would be to the Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman. You can use these two links, and that'll give you information about how to contact them. You could even leave a voicemail if you didn't want to leave an email. You can leave a brief voicemail, give them a call. Their contact information's there. And we have a sample script on that webpage that the links are to. Thank you.
Paul, can you put the PDF in the chat again and the link? Because the PDF has hyperlinks on it. So if you put it in the
Yep.
chat, people can download it.
Yep.
So maybe if people can unmute for a second or type in the chat, maybe one of the things that they plan on doing, we're thinking about maybe doing some breakout rooms and having people that are going to do the same thing, maybe get together so they can discuss the same issues. In the chat or on camera is fine. Just let us know what you think you're gonna contribute. Thank y'all for coming also. Emailing Senator Chamberlain, contacting Chair Chamberlain.
They usually don't get a flood of emails all at once that are from different people, so this will be great.
I'm gonna call because I like bothering people in their ear. So
Right, leaving voicemails, yeah.
who's calling with me? Did we? Can we share maybe a link for the social media competition?
Yep,
Keep
I'll
it.
put that in there.
Yeah, I know everybody's got a Facebook, Instagram, something. Put it out there, maybe. Get some of these young people some money. Anything in the chat? How's it going, y'all? Thank you, Paul. Okay, so that's the social media challenge and the reward breakdown. If anyone wants to share that directly to any other platforms.
Marcel, I'll put in the chat different hashtags and people to connect with.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I was like, what are the tags? If you are gonna post on your social media, these please include these: Racial Justice Minnesota Schools, Black Lives Matter at School, and you can tag any of these organizations. So we can have a record of it all together. Get some shout outs.
Paul, do you have Chamberlain and Melissa's numbers right quick that you can drop in the chat? Because everybody here can even boost that. If we get their numbers, we can just.
Yeah, I can get them.
Gracias, Jose. So we can copy and paste something that says call Roger 651-296-1253. HF, what's the 4 digits, Paul?
446, SF 446.
So, thank you. Give them a
And
hearing.
Jeff, yeah, so Chamberlain is the hearing for SF 446.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see Hortman's in there. That's fine. You can just say increased teacher of color act for her, but
What do you say about it?
have some sample message that's in the link on Make Your Voice Heard. I'll put that in there.
So to call Melissa Hortman, you say give the ITCA Act what?
Yeah, I'll put it.
ICT.
I'm going to put the link.
Just tell me, because then these things can be copied and pasted and sent.
Yeah.
What would you want Melissa Hortman to hear?
Please fully fund the Increased Teacher of Color Act.
Thank you. All right, so these two things can be copied and pasted and sent anywhere.
Yep.
Any group me's, anything.
It's great that we got 31 people with us today on a Friday afternoon. Taking action. Never underestimate what a small group of people can do for change.
Email to Melissa Portman. How are other people feeling? Would you guys like it if we put more direct numbers or emails in the chat, or is the link all right?
So the timeline for this action for the Increased Teacher of Color Act is really the next, we want people to act today, but it's for the next several weeks. The legislative session is for the next month going to be hearing bills in various committees. And then there's going to be a budget forecast that comes out at the end of February, beginning of March. And then the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader decide how much money they're going to let each committee have. And then the committees make proposals, and then they negotiate at the end of session in April and beginning of May. So it's all about pressuring people now, planting the seeds for later in the session that tough decisions will be made. We will keep people informed when bills come to committees. Everybody who's registered will get email updates from the various coalitions. So there'll be calls to action as we keep going.
So I got a question from someone. They're wondering if after this Zoom, if we could kind of get the same information out so people can still continue on to do this. So should we maybe start like an email chain to resend out the links, or should we just kind of prompt people to just save this?
Paul, can you drop that link in for the continued meetings also? Can you drop that registration link in the chat now?
Sure.
I think that would, Marcel, how does that sound?
I think that'll work, yeah. The person who messaged me, let me know if that doesn't solve it for you. I think that registration link will keep you up to date on everything. give you access to all the information.
Yeah, I think if you want to join any of the organizations that have put this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday together, that's one way. Another way is to follow things that are on social media. And then like Marcel said, to sign up for this registration, because there's going to be continued meetings the first Wednesday of every month. Paul, is that what you're going to put in the chat?
Yep.
Can you, for anybody who wants to do a video now that says, this is why this bill or act is important to me, can you say, I do, in the chat so that we know how many people want to? Because that's what we're going to do next before we close.
Or on the participant button, there's a yes button.
Ooh.
Great job.
All right, I don't see any brave souls yet. Marcel, do you and I want to start, and then we'll see who jumps in?
Yeah, sounds good.
Do you want to ask me, or I'll ask you, like, questions, and we could just go along with the background, for instance, of the Jamboard? Or do you want to start with a certain one?
I kind of want to start with a certain one.
People can see how easy this can be too, you know? Where do you want to start? Ethnic studies?
Yeah, we can start on that. I'm trying to learn. I'm sorry, my computer a little zoomed out.
Marcel, why is passing a bill about learning ethnic studies in Minnesota schools important to you?
Question. I think the first place I would start answering that question would be around defining ethnic studies. To me, it's like multicultural education, multiculturalism. I didn't learn anything about the real history until I got to college, and I think that's despicable. I like the phrase, you can't fix a system that isn't broken. It's working exactly as it's supposed to. These spaces of miseducation are not supposed to teach us what's wrong with society and how to change and move forward. They want us to keep going the way things are going, and it's caused me and my family personally a lot of pain and a lot of confusion. Dichotomy is not fun. I like the truth, so ethnic studies is important to me. How about you, Abby? Why is ethnic studies important to you? You're on mute.
Thanks, Marcel. Ethnic studies is important to me, I think, especially in Minnesota, where we have a number of schools that are fairly deeply interracial, but also still segregated. But where, when I've been teaching in them, so many BIPOC students don't know their histories, and so many white students don't know the deep histories of Indigenous folks, of Black people, of other people of color in Minnesota, locally, nationally, globally. I think we're really limited by Eurocentric curriculum. And even in classrooms where there is multicultural studies, there is not always youth action and agency. And I feel like in ethnic studies specific classes where we have people from communities teaching about those communities, we can't get that anywhere else. I can't, as a white teacher, in my opinion, like, I'm not going to bring in ethnic studies from a Chicano studies class at all in the same way that somebody who is Chicana, who is Chicana can teach, right? I'm not in that body, and I need to lean on those teachers and learn from them. as a teacher, and for the students, it's just such an amazing place to be able to have your own knowledge centered. And everybody deserves that. So, and then people can do anything else in their education from that.
Thank you. You want to do another?
Let's see if anybody else is willing. We've got about 5 minutes left. If anybody else wants to do a video, and Marcel and I can, like, we just tried it, right? If you're going to do it for legislation, Jose, you have a lot of tips I know that you can give us about what means a lot in creating a testimony. And then maybe we can just close out by people sharing what they're going to do next. Jose, do you want to add anything about when people do create testimonies and videos?
Yeah, I guess for testimonies, what I find that is often easiest is to quite honestly just talk about your own story. Always center your story first and foremost. You can be formal if you want to, like addressing like, good evening, Madam Chair, and blah, blah, blah. But that's not necessarily important per se, but if you want to, that adds on to, I guess, those testimonies. But yeah, just keep it to your own story. I would deviate from being super rhetorical or jargony. Just keep it simple. That's at least what I find that often makes more sense. Also talk about what your lens is, whether you're a student, whether you're an educator, whether you're a community member or an organizer, talk about that. And again, I guess the other thing is like how you can mention any other bill, like whether it's the Ethnic Studies bill or the Increased Teachers of Color bill, without necessarily talking about there's this line item that I agree on. So definitely, if you get a chance, if there's any like quick bill summary, look through it, look at what stands out. For example, for the Ethnic Studies bill, embedded into social studies state standards. Like you could say, like, we need this in our state standards, but we also need this in every other standard. So look for things that you resonate with. And I feel like that would help in terms of like the language that you're trying to propose. And there's also some of those tips in the, I guess, website. When you click on those links from the Art History of Schools testimonies, you'll see some of those for both the written testimonies and the video testimonies.
Yeah. Thank you, Abby, for that in the chat. Thank you, Jose, for sharing. So Abby said, what are we going to do next? I kind of, in conclusion, want to ground us in a few things. I know that we posted the registration. This is going to be reoccurring. So make sure you get connected with that. But in addition, so on Wednesday, at the end of the teaching, we kind of just had a discussion, had things open, left it very flexible for people to pop in and share whatever they wanted. And it was just like, it was amazing. Everyone was smiling, everyone was laughing, and we all got connected on an email thread. And I think that is, it's beautiful, and it's so important in cases of erasure and that we're experiencing in our society. It's a constant overbearing pressure, and the biggest thing to fight against it is, get connected with like-minded people who are really trying to do the work and trying to spread the knowledge and spread the love, most importantly. So thank you all for coming, and for those of you who participated, thank you so much. Yeah, please come back and let's keep going.
Yeah, before you duck out, drop in the chat what your next thing is that you're going to do. And if you have questions, we're here. Thanks so much. Thanks, Marcel. Thanks, Jose. Thanks, Paul.